Bloody shootouts erupt, citizens kill officials, social revenge and riots explode as China's economy teeters on the edge. Hundreds of millions unemployed have become a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. U.S. Treasury Secretary clarifies no unilateral promise to cut tariffs. The United States will not make concessions to China. The people can survive by eating grass. The CCP has called on the entire population to prepare for a prolonged war with the United States. Secret China-Russia pact exposed. Beijing is preparing to cast aside Xi Jinping. Greater political turmoil looms on the horizon. Is the 1.4 billion population figure just a lie? The greatest mystery? Why are so many places in China eerily empty, like ghost towns? Luxury homes and skyscrapers in China are full of hidden flaws and structural bubbles. Tofu-dreg projects are everywhere, putting people's lives at risk. Welcome back to New Century, where facts matter and every story is told with integrity. Bloody shootouts erupt, citizens kill officials, social revenge and riots explode as China's economy teeters on the edge. Hundreds of millions unemployed have become a ticking time bomb, ready to explode. Let's unpack this alarming crisis gripping China. The country's fragile economy, battered by the intensifying U.S.-China tariff war, is not only sparking economic fallout but igniting social chaos. Violent incidents are becoming disturbingly common, with reports of grassroots officials being targeted. According to unverified videos and screenshots circulating on X on April 17th, a deputy secretary named Jin from the Aiguo Subdistrict Office in Guangdong was killed by a petitioner from Teching Island. The attacker used a hoe at the office entrance, enraged over unresolved grievances. The motive traces back to villagers who petitioned in Beijing for better compensation for demolished homes, but were forcibly retrieved by Jin and local police, then detained in an illegal black prison for 49 days. Screenshots claim Jin was targeted for mishandling these petitions. Teching Island residents had repeatedly appealed to provincial, municipal, and district governments, even escalating to Beijing, but their concerns went unresolved. On April 17th, furious villagers beat Jin, dragged him outside, and fatally struck his head with a hoe. Security guards at the scene stood by, unable to intervene, and Jin died instantly. Online reactions captured the public's frustration. Netizens wrote, "Nee, this guy must have been pushed to the limit." And sub-district officials love making life hard for people. Getting beaten feels normal. Others questioned, what kind of hatred sparks such courage to kill like this? If people had a way to survive, they wouldn't resort to such revenge. One comment tied it to broader issues, stating, under economic hardship, the CCP's evil doing will spark public retaliation. Just days later, on April 22nd, a deadly gunfight erupted in Taizhou, Zhejiang province, leaving multiple special police officers shot and hospitalized, with suspects either killed or injured. Social media videos showed officers lying motionless in pools of blood, a chilling scene of escalating violence. A netizen claiming insider knowledge said a wanted criminal from northern Myanmar with 2 accomplices hijacked a taxi in Taizhou to evade police. They allegedly killed multiple taxi drivers and clashed with special police, resulting in 2 suspects dead, 1 captured, and 5 officers wounded, their conditions unclear. Ambulance footage showed paramedics rushing an officer to safety. Speculation about the suspects' origins varies, with some pointing to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, or northern Myanmar, though their journey over 2,000 kilometers to Linhai City raises questions. Linhai's urban setting, far from borders or remote areas, makes the motive murky, possibly local vendettas or rebellion. The Chinese police have locked down information, offering no official response, which is stoking public panic and rumors. That same day, tragedy struck at Sumeng Elementary School in Jinhua City, Zhejiang province. During student dismissal, a sedan plowed into the crowd, striking adults and children in a horrific scene. A Zhejiang netizen claimed it was a deliberate revenge against society, alleging 26 deaths, though this remains unverified. The Chinese Communist Party has tightly suppressed news of the incident, reflecting its broader censorship of unrest. These events are just the tip of the iceberg, as the CCP's strict control over information keeps most incidents under wraps. Experts warn that China's unemployment crisis could hit 60 million this year if the trade war escalates further, a figure echoed by earlier reports of economic strain. Unemployment is already crippling, with some estimates suggesting rates above 50%. This year, 12 million college graduates are entering a job market with few prospects, adding fuel to a ticking time bomb of social unrest, with millions poised to lash out. A Self-Media article analyzed the trade war's devastating toll, noting that U.S. tariffs reaching 145% leave no room for compromise, pushing China beyond its limits. The greatest threat to ordinary people is a collapsing yuan. The article outlined 3 factors determining the yuan's fate: whether China gains leverage in U.S.-China talks and wins allied support, whether China can boost consumption with real funds, and whether Chinese goods can still reach global markets or be transshipped. If all 3 conditions are met, the yuan might stabilize at 7.4 against the dollar. If only one holds, it could slip to 7.8 or 8. In the worst case, with none met, the yuan could crash past 10. A rate beyond 10 would spike import costs by 30%, driving up prices for essentials like oil, food, phones, and computers, slashing purchasing power and risking severe inflation. Foreign capital flight would worsen unemployment, housing prices would plummet, local government debt in dollars would soar, potentially triggering defaults, bank bad debts would climb, and savings would be at risk. The article grimly predicts that the tariff war is locked in, with the next 3 years testing who can outlast the other. It suggests Chinese people may need to eat grass to survive until a new U.S. administration emerges. If they refuse, incidents like the Taizhou gunfight could erupt nationwide, signaling a broader rebellion against economic despair. U.S. Treasury Secretary clarifies, no unilateral promise to cut tariffs. The United States will not make concessions to China. On April 23rd, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent made it crystal clear: the Trump administration has not offered to unilaterally slash tariffs on China. Speaking to the media after the International Institute of Finance annual meeting in Washington, Bessent shot down reports claiming the White House was eyeing a tariff cut to 50 to 65%. He stated, "We never proposed unilateral concessions. That is absolutely not true." Bessent emphasized that restarting U.S.-China trade talks would require both sides to lower the historically steep tariffs, which he admitted act like a de facto trade embargo, stifling long-term bilateral ties. Currently, the U.S. slaps an average 145% tariff on Chinese imports, while China hits back with 125% on U.S. goods, levels unseen in a century. Yet, Bessent noted both nations see these rates as unsustainable, adding, "I wouldn't be surprised if tariffs were reduced in a reciprocal manner." He cautioned that true trade rebalancing could take 2 to 3 years, hinging on mutual trust and communication between senior leaders, and warned that talks with China could be very tough. On April 22nd, President Trump struck a cautiously optimistic note, expressing confidence in securing a fair deal with China. He said tariffs would be significantly reduced but not to zero if an agreement is reached, a softer stance than his earlier rhetoric. China's response? Unyielding. On April 23rd, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun stressed equality, respect, and mutual benefit, declaring, "We don't want to fight, but we're not afraid to fight. If it's a fight, we'll see it through to the end. If it's talks, our door is wide open." The people can survive by eating grass. The CCP has called on the entire population to prepare for a prolonged war with the United States. Despite the cries of China's struggling businesses and citizens grappling with factory closures and unemployment, the CCP's mouthpiece, People's Daily, urged the nation to brace for a prolonged war with the U.S., with leaders vowing victory. A front-page commentary proclaimed, "The U.S.'s reckless tariffs will impact us, but the sky won't fall." It claimed China's strength and the party's leadership would turn crises into opportunities. The Wall Street Journal observed that as the trade war heats up, the CCP is rallying national unity to bolster its stance, a tactic to pin China's economic woes on the U.S. The report noted this has become an ideological battle, with the CCP tying its political legitimacy to outlasting Trump. Australia-based scholar Li Yuanhua explained that the CCP sees winning the trade war as critical to its survival. He said, "The CCP operates on a philosophy of struggle. Without conflict, it cannot coexist peacefully. It's now playing the nationalism card to defuse its domestic governance crisis, binding the Chinese people to its cause." He noted Trump's strategy of negotiating solely with Xi Jinping, recalling fruitless talks with Vice Premier Liu Hu in the past due to Xi's override. Li added, "The CCP drags out talks while deceiving." Li Yuanhua warned that the CCP is gambling on U.S. vulnerabilities like midterms or elections to sway public opinion. He said, "The CCP bets its authoritarian power stays intact while the people suffer. It's saying, I can fight a long war. If my economy collapses, Chinese people can eat grass for a year." It's challenging whether the U.S. can hold up. He contrasted this with democratic accountability, noting Trump must consider American citizens, unlike the CCP's disregard for its people. American economist Lee Henking painted a grim picture of China's economy, stating, "With prices now falling across the board, many in the middle class will end up filing for bankruptcy. Their assets tied up in real estate keep dropping, while debts stay fixed. It crushes them. The situation is extremely severe." Analysts see this trade war as more than tariffs. It's a fight for the CCP's legitimacy and global influence. Professor Sun Guoxiang from Nanhua University in Taiwan warned, "If this continues, the middle class will keep sliding downward, and unemployment among the lower class will worsen. This is a prolonged war waged by the party, but the people are suffering." Economists predict China's exports could hit their lowest point since the 2008 financial crisis, with a wave of corporate bankruptcies looming. Li Henking explained, "China's manufacturing sector is shrinking under vanishing orders, leading to internal cannibalization. This creates intense deflationary pressure, forcing businesses into cutthroat price wars. Every company is under massive stress. Many may not survive." Secret China-Russia pact exposed. Beijing is preparing to cast aside Xi Jinping. Greater political turmoil looms on the horizon. Let's dive into this unfolding crisis. Sources claim a clandestine agreement between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, finalized in 2022, is now unraveling Beijing's strategy. On April 21st, exiled Chinese-Australian legal scholar Yuan Hongbing told the Epoch Times that this pact, negotiated since 2020, was exposed by a family member of a purged high-ranking CCP official. Yuan alleges the deal included sending nearly 3,000 Chinese soldiers, disguised as North Korean troops, to Russia for combat experience in Ukraine, preparing for a future Taiwan Strait conflict. These soldiers, reportedly ethnic Koreans or Chinese trained in North Korean tactics, were PLA officers. Yuan also claims the CCP promised North Korea equipment for 100,000 special forces and replacements for battlefield losses, alongside diplomatic, economic, and political support for Russia. This secret deal comes as President Trump aimed to fracture the China-Russia alliance by brokering a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire, redirecting U.S. focus to the Indo-Pacific to counter Beijing. But those plans hit a snag after a public spat between Ukrainian President Zelensky and the White House stalled peace talks. Still, progress is emerging. On April 21st, Trump announced very good talks with Russia and Ukraine, promising full details within 3 days. On April 23rd, a Ukrainian delegation is set to meet U.S., UK, and French officials in London to discuss a draft peace deal. Leaked details, reported by Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal, outline a U.S. proposal to freeze current front lines, letting Russia keep eastern and southern Ukrainian territories. Ukraine would be barred from NATO, with security guarantees for Kyiv. The plan accepts Crimea as part of Russia without recognizing Russia's legal claims to eastern Ukraine, leaves Russian troops in place, and designates the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant area as a neutral zone, possibly under U.S. oversight. Neither Russia nor Ukraine has rejected the proposal, hinting at a possible agreement soon. For Beijing, a ceasefire would be a strategic disaster, weakening its alliance with Russia and exposing Xi's leadership to scrutiny. Amid escalating U.S.-China tariffs, which now average 145% on Chinese imports, the CCP may be looking for a scapegoat. Speculation is mounting that Xi could be the fall guy. On April 21st, Ho Ching, wife of former Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and former CEO of Temasek Holdings, posted a scathing critique of Xi on Facebook. She blasted his 12-year rule, accusing him of acting like a mafia boss, bullying neighbors, and demanding they treat him as a trade war ally. She called it laughable. Ho Ching, whose firm has deep ties to China, rarely comments on Chinese politics, making her post a bold signal. Commentator Kai Shinkun questioned whether Ho Ching fears no retaliation or has insider knowledge that Xi's grip is slipping. Analyst Tang Jingyuan went further, stating, "The only reasonable explanation is that Singapore now understands Xi no longer has the power to retaliate. They're not afraid of him anymore." A popular X account suggested Ho Ching's post reflects Singapore's role as a hub for anti-Xi CCP factions. With U.S. tariffs squeezing Beijing and internal rifts widening, these factions may be poised to act, potentially sparking dramatic change. As the U.S.-China tariff war and Russia-Ukraine peace talks converge, the global order is shifting. Anti-Xi forces within the CCP appear to be gaining ground, and with foreign and domestic pressures mounting, Beijing could be on the verge of a major political shakeup. Is the 1.4 billion population figure just a lie? The greatest mystery. Why are so many places in China eerily empty like ghost towns? A haunting mystery is gripping China. Where have all the people gone? Viral videos show megacities and villages eerily deserted, raising chilling questions about a possible population collapse in the world's second-largest economy. Let's explore this unsettling phenomenon sweeping across China. From bustling metropolises like Zhengzhou, Xiamen, and Wuhan to remote rural villages, streets, malls, and markets are shockingly empty. In Zhengzhou, home to 13 million people, residents report deserted shopping centers, shuttered stores, and silent streets, even in once thriving areas like Irma Road. Locals say store staff outnumber customers. A suit shop owner lamented, "Business gets worse by the day. We raise prices just to cover rent." Online, people are asking, morning rush hour isn't congested anymore. Have millions left the city? The same eerie quiet plagues Fuzhou, Xiamen, and Diabei. Prime shopping districts are abandoned, restaurants and supermarkets sit vacant, and real estate, once valued at 19,000 yuan per square meter, now languishes at 10,000 yuan with no buyers. Even offers to give away property find no takers. In downtown Xiamen, a flagship mall stands idle, and a Venice-themed water project reeks of sewage. Electric scooters and storefronts gather dust. One resident remarked, "This is the heart of the city, and there's no one here." So, where did everyone go? Despite Beijing's claims of a stable population, residents are documenting a stark decline. Markets are lifeless, subways run empty, physical retail is crumbling. A merchant shared, "We used to have busy and slow seasons. Now it's just decline. Every month is worse than the last." Business owners insist this isn't just reduced spending, it's a population collapse. One said, "I opened at 10 a.m., not a single customer all day." The streets are empty. It's not effort, it's reality. In Wuhan, once vibrant shopping areas like Zhanghan Road are lined with closed storefronts, including major chains like Starbucks and department stores. The desolation extends nationwide. Food courts sit two-thirds empty during lunch rushes. Entire pedestrian streets are shuttered. In Chengdu's Chengxi Road, a popular weekend hotspot, Sunday crowds have vanished. Even rural villages are ghost towns. Videos show abandoned homes fully furnished with TVs, clothes, and flashlights, yet untouched for years. In Guizhou and northeast China, accessible towns are silent. In Hunan, travelers find pristine housing blocks filled with belongings but no residents. A local said, "Our village of hundreds now has 5 old men. Everyone else has left." This post-COVID exodus is raising alarms. Experts suggest China's true population loss may be staggering, driven by years of lockdowns, economic hardship, and underreported deaths. Villages have emptied. Cities have hollowed out. Citizens are questioning official narratives, from population figures to public institutions. Many point to persistent health issues, suspected unreported COVID waves, and a rise in sudden deaths. A Luoyang resident said, "Cemeteries are full of young names. So many people have just disappeared." A Beijing resident added, "The illness never stopped. Kids keep getting sick. In Hebei, they stopped cremating. There are too many bodies." China's official claim of 1.4 billion people is under scrutiny. The eerie silence in its cities and villages tells a starkly different story, one that's sparking concern about a hidden crisis. Luxury homes and skyscrapers in China are full of hidden flaws and structural bubbles. Tofu-dreg projects are everywhere, putting people's lives at risk. The Chinese Communist Party touts its construction industry as an infrastructure maniac, but the real mania lies in its own corrupt system. Collusion between officials and businesses has birthed a plague of tofu-dreg engineering, shoddy projects so flimsy they collapse under scrutiny. Viral video clips are pulling no punches in revealing the truth. In April 2025, fierce winds tore through China, and nature didn't hold back in exposing the CCP's construction failures. In Zhengzhou, Henan Province, a level 12 wind ripped down an entire household wall. On April 11th, a level 15 wind in the same city shattered a living room's floor-to-ceiling window. A netizen on X shared a video quipping, "Birds never build tofu-dreg nests. After a level 10 wind, their nests stay strong. This construction quality puts human workers to shame." You'd think foam has no place in buildings, but in the CCP's world of corner cutting, it's disturbingly common. In Changsha's Mingfa International City, a homeowner showed a reporter his community's housing, lamenting, "It's all hollow. You could play hide and seek in here. What kind of safety does our house offer? From the ground floor to the 34th floor, it's all hollow. It's foam." In Guangzhou's New World Yunyao community, a luxury home bought for over 10 million won, about 1.37 million USD, had walls made of foam. Experts warn that even non-load-bearing walls need strength, and foam is not only weak but highly flammable. Developers cut corners for profit and moral indifference, showing little regard for homeowners' safety, a symptom of the CCP's chaotic governance. Buying a home in China is a gut-wrenching ordeal. A few years ago, soaring prices drove families to empty their savings, often called six wallets, and take on crushing loans, betting on homes as both shelter and investment. Now, with prices tanking, homeowners face a brutal reality: hefty mortgages for properties riddled with flaws. In April 2025, a 28-story residential building in the Crystal Bay community of Country Garden in Wyoming City, Guangdong, delivered just 2 years ago, revealed catastrophic issues. Homeowners found 39 load-bearing columns in the underground parking garage of buildings 68 to 79 with crushing fractures and cracked floor slabs. The rebar was thin, severely rusted, and, shockingly, nearly every column's rebar was broken. Netizens speculated the developer used sea sand and low-quality rebar, when river sand is standard. Experts suggested the rebar was likely rusted during construction, or the concrete was poorly poured and patched with mortar, making repairs nearly impossible. A blogger vented, "Don't ask where the money went. It went to those things you're so proud of: roads, railways. China has no real foundation, it's all borrowed money. Infrastructure, high-speed rail, urban projects eat 21 trillion yuan a year. They dig today, rebuild tomorrow, then dig again. That's where the money goes." Netizens echoed the frustration, stating, "For years the CCP has chased vanity projects. Money pours into massive infrastructure, plazas, landmarks, flashy image projects, but no one cares if people's lives improve. It's about political achievements, not progress. Local officials get rich, quality suffers, and the people's hard-earned money funds Tofu-dreg engineering. This explains why shoddy construction is everywhere. Homes, roads, bridges, private and public projects. Despite exposés, the problem persists because CCP officials shield it. Some Tofu-dreg projects stem directly from government corruption, with officials demanding bribes from builders, who then skimp on materials to cover costs while still paying workers. At its core, the CCP is to blame. Decades ago, the Great Leap Forward pushed more, faster, better, cheaper, a reckless slogan that ignored safety for quick wins. Today's corrupt governance, but with officials extorting construction teams, shifts the burden onto ordinary Chinese, forcing them to pay the price for systemic bribery and negligence. Thank you for watching New Century. If you believe in honest journalism and independent thinking, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Until next time, stay informed, stay thoughtful, and take care.